Dhamma Talks by Mogok Sayadaw, the 3rd of March 1959. The great benefit of Udayabbhaya Ñāṇa. Except the Buddha and Parcheka Buddha, no one can enlighten without listening to talks. In the Majjhima Nikaya, Magandiya Sutta, the Buddha mentioned that anyone who completed with these three factors can realize Nibbāna in this life. The three factors are 1. Association with men of integrity. 2. Hear the true Dhamma. 3. Practice the Dhamma in accordance with the Dhamma. The Buddha always only said the true words. Therefore, don't doubt about it, also don't doubt in yourself. Only fulfill the no. 3. Factor tilde practice in accordance with the Dhamma is easy. If the mind and body tell you impermanence, just know it. You will realize the Dhamma, i.e., discerning anicca, in this life if impermanence and the Ñāṇa knowing become together. I will take the responsibility for you. If you discern impermanence, no need to pray for Nibbāna and continue to know this, then you will arrive there by itself. If you know impermanence, you get the knowledge of as it really is, yathabhuta Ñāṇa. And then continue to know it will arrive to the knowledge of disenchantment. Still continuing to know it and arriving at the end of it, which is the path knowledge. If you can discern anicca, you are the three-rooted person, tihetuka, a person born with three wholesome roots, non-greed, non-hatred and non-delusion. Other types of persons can't discern it. You should have these three knowledges in order to arrive at Nibbāna. If you are still practicing and have not gotten the path knowledge yet, why is this? Your practice is still not in accordance with the Dhamma, because impermanence and the knowing are not fit together. Practice in accordance with the Dhamma is ending the round of existences, samsara. Because by seeing anicca, ignorance won't come in, sankhara and vijnana won't arise, and the new khandha not arises. See the 12 links of D.A. Then, a question need to ask. How long I have to practice? Do I need to practice for my whole life? After you discern anicca and become gladdening, then it's not far from Nibbāna. After that, follow by disenchantment of anicca. All these were mentioned by the Buddha. E.g., in the Dhammapada, joy, gooseflesh, happiness, light, etc., any one of them will arise, i.e., the 10 insight corruptions. After that, not very long, the knowledge of disenchantment will come. This is Nibbāna. If you arrive to the level of 10 insight corruptions, impermanence is succeeded. When you arrive to this point, don't get up and go away. After that, you will not see the arising of phenomena but only the passing away of them. And then, later you will see the disenchantment of passing away. Here in this talk, Sayadaw warned the yogis not to get up and go away when impermanence is succeeded. In some of his talks, he also warned the yogis when they arrived at the knowledge of disenchantment, not to get up and go away for whatever reasons, but stick to the practice until Nibbāna was realized. Dhamma Talks by Mogok Sayadaw, the 6th of March 1959. Impermanence and right view. By knowing only mind and body can't see Nibbāna. With explanation it is easy to understand mind and body. In reality we have to know is anicca. Mind and body is only for analyzing. Without discerning impermanence and can't see Nibbāna. If you discern it and you have the seed of arahant, can become an arahant in this life. It must develop from this view from sotapanna to arahant. You still not get the seed of sotapanna if you still have not discerned anicca. Without seeing it can't close the doors of painful rebirths, also still not have right view, i.e., vipassana right view. By discerning anicca has purified view. Sayadaw recited some of the Pali verses by the Buddha and explained it. During sitting, if your body feels pain and wants to change is all right. I don't say not to change it. After changing, the feeling disappears and not there anymore. You have to change it with contemplation. After changing, observe it as it's there or not. In this way, you have right view. Die with right view is dying with knowledge. After seeing anicca, continue with the contemplation will become disenchantment with it. Knowledge becomes sharper, but it's still anicca. Aggregates, khandhas, sense bases, ayatana, elements, dhatu, truth, sakha, all are anicca. But by themselves is separated, i.e., separated nature. You discerning of impermanence can make you free from carrying the corpse. Sometimes Sayadaw was using words which had the double meanings, profound, vivid and humorous. For example, in some talks, changing new births, conveyed as changing the corpses. You must not argue by looking at the differences of the ways of practice. At last by discerning anicca and become the same. The main point is discerning impermanence. Sayadaw made a warning on argument that was very common in Burma, maybe also in other countries and other religions. The important point was not other right or wrong, but one's own practice. Discerning of anicca is only possible when the Buddha's teaching exists and encounter a teacher who can teach them. If you discern anicca, you will be free from craziness. Therefore, make perseverance for the sake of discerning anicca. Dhamma talks by Mogok Sayadaw. Taṇhā and Practice. In these talks we can feel the compassion of Sayadaw. He pointed out the importance of present situations for practice diligently to end dukkha. Not to waste the precious opportunity for ending dukkha. Also he pointed out the great power of greed craving, lobha taṇhā, in daily life. People get lost in it and forget or can't give their time for the practice. Making the judgments are seemingly like wisdom and opposing in doing the practice and goodness. Avarice, makarya, and doubt, visakicha, can come in. It's difficult to know. It seems like wisdom, panna. Making on the judgment for yes or no and at last can't do it. For example, for doing the practice on concerning one's health, and taṇhā come in and then can't do it. By making the judgment one can't do what should be done and then wasting the time. From the Buddha's point of view, quickly do the holy practice and not to delay for it. True wisdom can succeed for what one desires, chanda, to do. Wisdom faculty, panandriya or panna indriya, can conquer any opposition. Regarding with dana, it's avarice, and for practice, it's taṇhā. True wisdom understanding the nature of not-self, anatta, and do it without delay. Without practice is not difference from someone alive with the animal mind. After seeing anicca by practice, the first vithi citta, consciousness in the cognitive process, gives the result of progress in business and wealth. At that time taṇhā comes in and can destroy the practice because the yogi takes it as busy in business. To realize Nibbāna, the cognitive process of the knowledge of impermanence must arise continuously. Sensual pleasures of wealth and property are a kind of temptation, Mara. For ordinary people there is no destruction of Mara God, Devaputta Mara, but the Mara of the mind can come in as a destruction. We exchange the invaluable Nibbānic happiness with ordinary happiness. This was the happiness of a dog for a bone, one of the similes of sensual pleasure by the Buddha. It is quite a great loss. For doing dana and making merits are also in the same way. Instead of giving support to Nibbāna, let taṇhā leading us for wandering in the round of existence. Because of the good kammas of the past attained the precious human life, and met a good teacher, and hearing the truth of Dhamma, sakha. With practice, one can end dukkha, but most people misuse their past good kammas by wasting time in worldly sensual pleasures. This Dhamma talk gives us a lot of good for thought and contemplation. The Buddha and teachers of Dhamma made the important points only. We need to gain more insight about them by reflection and contemplation. Be seeing them more deeply, extensively and clearly. With these habitual practices can develop our wisdom faculties and development on the path. Dhamma talks by Mogok Sayadaw, the 1st of April 1959. Laziness and Dosa. The second temptation of defilements, kilesa mara, is discontent, arati, or laziness and boredom, because of laziness and boredom stop from the Dhamma practice. Laziness and boredom are refined dosa. Lost interest, discontent with the practice and become displeasure. For a monk he can be disrobed. It's the enemy of effort. It overcomes the four supreme efforts, samapadhana. It hinders the worldly and transcendental developments, lokya and lokuttara. It can also go into sloth and torpor. Disturb oneself is laziness, kosaja. Harmful to other is anger, dosa. It has the fault of samsara, because of laziness never transcend dukkha. It doesn't commit crimes like dosa. Dosa is easy to know, and can be corrected. Laziness is not easy to correct. Sometimes dosa turns into sense of urgency, samvega, and can move towards knowledge. Refined dosa, here laziness, destroy the whole life, not to mention transcend dukkha, even difficult to do goodness. Kosaja disturbs inside, and dosa disturbs outside. Laziness is harmful to oneself, and anger to others. With laziness no one corrects you, and with anger someone will correct you. The differences between laziness and anger. With laziness nobody knows it, and with anger someone knows it. If laziness comes in, contemplate the plane of misery, apaya dukkha, the misery of round of existence, samsaric dukkha, and the dukkha of old age, sickness and death, to overcome laziness. Because of one's laziness and gives many reasons to shun away from practice. It has refined, but a terrible one. The Buddha also taught about the 16 reasons for laziness. There was also a warning from the Buddha, i.e., you could not realize the holiest, the extraordinary Nibbāna element with ordinary effort. Therefore, lazy people can't realize Nibbāna. Dhamma Talks by Mogok Sayadaw, the 25th of November 1959. Take Kamma as permanence. Sayadaw said we could misrepresent the Buddha in two ways. From hearing the teaching and giving a wrong talk, from Anguttara Nikaya, some Buddhists even created new ideas and concepts into the Buddha teachings. This point is also important to think about. As an example, a frog after hearing the voice of the Buddha and died, and reborn as a devata, deity. Most Buddhists thought that a frog changed into a devata. This is a permanent view, sasata ditthi. Someone gave a talk on Nibbāna and explained it as annihilationism, akeda ditthi. Both of them are wrong views, and obstruct Nibbāna. In all of the Buddha teachings, he explained in two ways, direct and indirect ways. Sayadaw gave another example in the Middle Discourses, Mahatana not Sankhaya Sutta, about Bhikkhu Sati, Minnesota 38. He heard the Jataka stories from the Buddha, especially the 10 great Jataka stories, Vesantara, Mahosada, Temiya, etc., and took it directly as only the bodies of them died, but not the mind of the Bodhisattva. He took Vedanā as permanent, only changed the physical bodies, but the mind unchanged and continued to the next life. Most people of the world have this view, i.e., the permanent soul. Sayadaw based this talk on the Mahapunama Sutta of Middle-Length Discourses, MN 109. This sutta provides a thorough discussion of issues related to the 5 aggregates. Sayadaw based on a sutta, but he never used the whole one, only a part of it or the main point for the teaching. After Vasa, rain retreat, some monks visited the Buddha on the full moon day. The leader of the group asked the Buddha questions. What is the clinging aggregate, upadana-khandha? The 5 khandhas, answered the Buddha. Are they the same or other, clinging and aggregates? Without clinging no khandhas, and no clinging can't have the khandhas. The monk continued to ask questions. After some times the Buddha asked the monks each of the 5 khandhas as impermanence, anicca, or permanence, nicca, and dukkha, suffering, or sukha, happiness. The bhikkhus answered as impermanence and suffering. The Buddha continued to ask, if dukkha, each khandhas can be said, this is mine, this I am, and this is myself. During that moment, one of the bhikkhus had this thought, if the 5 khandhas were not self, anatta, What should I rely on? Maybe I should rely on my kammas. The Buddha knew his thought and admonished him, and continued again to ask the questions as above. They answered that it was not self, anatta, and at the same time they observed their khandhas and answered what they had seen. After the talks they all became arahants. Most Buddhists, as the monk above, take Kamma as permanence or have the view of Kammavadi Sasata Ditthi. The beings are followed by their kammas after dying like an ox cart at the wheel, negative kamma, or like a shadow, positive kamma. These were taught by the Buddha in direct way by using similes to understand the law of kamma. There are two worries: misunderstanding of the Dhamma by listening and by teaching Dhamma. Teaching by similes and taking them directly is wrong. He gave the story of a frog. The mind, body of the frog and the mind, body of the Devata were quite different. Nothing was following there. It becomes wrong view by listening with misunderstanding. Has wrong view in the connection of the khandhas process. If you can't teach in the way to free from wrong view, it moves towards the view of permanence, sasata ditthi. It also leads to wrong view with the exaggeration on the direct teaching. Opening parenthesis. E.g. Bhikkhu Yamaka's view on Nibbāna. We can also know from the Buddhist history that some new ideas and views came from this kind of thinking and looked like a god religion. There are three methods which can't be mistaken and deviated. These are law of conditional relations, patthana, law of dependent arising, paticca samuppada, and truths, sakka. With the others, if don't know how to interpret them and easy to become wrong views. Take Nibbāna as just only the cessation of greed, hatred and delusion is also wrong view. It's the same as nothing arises. The leader of the monks asked the Buddha, there are clinging, upadana, and aggregates, khandhas. Are they the same or different? The Buddha answered that they were not the same nor different, and without the khandhas there was no clinging. The khandhas could not exist if there was no clinging. What is the cause of the khandhas? We do want it for ourselves and therefore we pray and making kammas for it. Please, tell us the diversity of the khandhas. They are the khandhas of the past, present and future. Please, tell us how the identity view, sakkaya ditthi, comes to be. Take all the 5 khandhas as me or mine so that identity view comes to be. Please, tell us how the identity view not comes to be. If you contemplate the 5 khandhas as these are not mine, these are not I am, these are not myself, then no identity view comes to be. Please, explain to us more about it. Then the Buddha asked him to contemplate each of the 5 khandhas as not self. By explaining in this way, one of the monks was thinking like this: if all were not self, which one should I make it as me or mine? Which one should I rely on? Maybe I have to rely on my kammas. Most people, Buddhists, take kamma as mother and father and rely on them. Most Buddhists are in fear of the extinction of life, bhava, that they rely on kammas and connecting them. Wrong views and craving for becoming are so strong that some create paradises in the heavens and can't let go their clinging for them, i.e., sakkaya ditthi and bhava tanha. Dhamma talks by Mogok Sayadaw, the 27th of November, 1959. Birth, Death and Nibbāna. This talk explained the functions of the 4 Noble Truths and their connection in a quite detailed and simple way but profound. Also there are some hidden meanings behind them and for contemplation and to find out by the yogi. This strengthens his confidence in the Buddha teaching. Closing square bracket. In the patthana, conditional relation, faith, saddha, generosity, dana, precept, sila, serenity, samatha, and insight, vipassana, are the distant causes to Nibbāna. Completing the 8 path factors is only the near cause to Nibbāna. I will talk about feeling, Vedanā, in the Samyutta Nikāya of Connected Discourse on Feeling, Vedanā Samyutta. It's about feeling, contemplation on feeling and to Nibbāna with feeling. The Buddha said first to develop samadhi by breathing, Anapana, or Kasina, circular-shaped meditative device, after that to know the feelings. To know the feeling means not on the type of feelings, such as pleasant etc. According to the commentary, to know the truth of dukkha on feeling. With the Satipatthana Pali, people think that it's only to know the feeling. According to the dependent arising, paticca samuppada, whatever arising is dependent co-arising. The whole connecting process is dukkha. All the arising phenomena are by its nature, dhammata, have to be passed away. Passing away is also dukkha. So whatever kind of feeling arise, know them as the truth of dukkha. If you discern anicca, you see the truth of dukkha. Contemplation of impermanence is to know the truth of dukkha. Carefully note this point. If you discern impermanence, you get the knowledge of the truth, sakkanana. Impermanence is the truth of dukkha, dukkha sakka, and knowing is the truth of the path, magga sakka. There are two reasons, causes, for the present feeling arises, i.e., near cause and distant cause. The distant cause is in the past, because of ignorance, avidya, craving, taṇhā, clinging, upadana, and action, kamma, we got the present khandhas, i.e., according to the dependent arising. The near cause is in every moment because of contact, phassa, feeling arises. Without the past and the present causes, no feeling can arise. So without the past ignorance, action, i.e., the cause of dukkha, samudaya sakka, then the truth of dukkha, present khandhas, or dukkha sakka can't arise. I am now explaining in details is because you may have doubt that why the impermanent process happens continuously again and again. If I say exactly because of ignorance, craving, clinging, action and contact that impermanent phenomena of the truth of dukkha arise, samudaya and dukkha sakka. Yogis will ask me, when shall we arrive at Nibbāna? My answer is when samudaya and dukkha sakka cease, you will arrive there. If you can contemplate to the ending of the truth of dukkha, and then the samudaya sakka of the past also cease. With the cause ceases and also the result. The ending of impermanence is with the ending of the past causes. The ending of both of them, i.e., dukkha khandha and samudaya taṇhā, is Nibbāna. Impermanent dukkha sakka ends with the past cause of samudaya sakka. Maybe you'll ask, why is the ending of impermanent dukkha sakka leading to the ending of the past samudaya sakka? According to the Buddha, the extinction of feeling means the extinction of cause and effect. Discerning the impermanent dukkha sakka is knowledge, vidya. This knowledge kills the past ignorance, avidya. Discerning of impermanence is non-greed, i.e., no greed or craving comes in. Without craving there is no clinging, upadana. Inside knowledge arises and it cuts off the kamma. Therefore, during contemplation of impermanence the past cause is ceased. Dukkha sakka is ceased by contemplation towards the ending of it. Contemplation kills samudaya sakka. Dukkha ceases when the knowledge of not wanting arises. Contemplative knowledge, i.e., vipassana gnana, functions two duties. The path knowledge, magga gnana, function four duties. Kills taṇhā, samudaya, penetrates dukkha, development and seeing Nibbāna. With the completion of the 8 path factors, it cuts off the past defilement, kilesa, and not allows the present defilement to arise. Therefore, the path factors kill the past causes and not allowing the present causes to arise. So the Noble Eightfold Path is the way to Nibbāna. Nibbāna ends dukkha only whereas happiness is still existent. The Noble Eightfold Path cut off the past kamma and forbid the new kamma to arise. So the Buddha called craving, taṇhā, as the crooked Dhamma and the path factors as straight Dhamma, because it kills taṇhā. Note, this talk supports the 3 periods of time in the 12 links of Paticcasamuppada teaching. Dhamma Talks by Mogok Sayadaw, the 28th of November 1959. Sikh Bhikkhu and Vedanā. Based on a sutta from Vedanā Samyutta. The Buddha gave a Sikh bhikkhu an instruction of how to die. Stay with mindfulness, sati, and clear comprehension or wisdom, sampajana, when we feel the pain. Employ the time with mindfulness and wisdom. Without the physical body no feeling arises. The mental feelings arise by depending on the mind base, i.e., the heart area. The cause is impermanent, so is the result, and they having the nature of passing away. By knowing in this way, doubt is overcome. Therefore, this way of contemplation is by knowing the cause doubt falls apart, and knowing the result wrong view falls off. Every time knowing feeling arising is sati and knowing the nature of passing away is sampajana. Combined together is sati sampajana. If you can contemplate in this way, then greed, anger and delusion can't come in. Mindfulness just only knows the arising. It is sampajana or wisdom mental factor which is able to contemplate the passing away. Mindfulness can't do it. The physical pain is not horrible. The horrible thing is when pain arises and the reaction to it, i.e., mental state of displeasure, domanassa. It's more difficult to cure. As an example, in the darkness a man is cutting with a kusa grass. If you tell him that he was bitten by a snake and instantly in shock. Again you tell him that it's not a snake only a kusa grass and instantly getting up. So when pain is arising at near death, if the patient can't contemplate it, and will die with displeasure. If able to contemplate and dies with the knowledge of impermanence, it becomes anicca and magga. This is dying with the path factor's mind. Every one dies with painful feeling will fall into the plains of misery. It's quite frightening. Buddha and Arahants had physical pains but didn't have mental pains or dukkha. Therefore, they were ended the round of existence. Even you don't have the path knowledge and die with the insight knowledge is safe. Every time feeling arises and knowing with sati and sampajana, wrong view, ditthi, doubt, vicikiccha, greed, lobha, anger, dosa, and delusion, moha, all the 5 defilements are dying away. Ditthi and vicikiccha are extinct with the path knowledge. Lobha, dosa and moha die without any chance to come in. Here Sayadaw mentioned the lobha, dosa and moha a connection with wrong view and doubt. Not 100% of them but only 25% of them. If you follow up feelings until to the end, body and feeling disappear and the peaceful Nibbāna element appears. In the yogi's mind, the physical body is disappeared. The 5 khandhas disappear and the path knowledge arises. Dhamma talks by Mogok Sayadaw, the 30th of November to the 1st of December, 1959. Craving like a tailor. Most Buddhists afraid of unwholesome kamma which will give the future result. The main cause is not kamma, taṇhā, craving, is the connector from one life to another to infinity. No birth anymore if taṇhā is eradicated. After taṇhā extinct all the kammas become fruitless. As an example, the great serial killer Angulimala, the fingers garlanded bandit of the Buddha's time. Therefore, the Buddha said that in the Four Noble Truth, the cause of dukkha is craving, and not mentioned as kamma. Craving is sticking at 12 places. It's sticking with the 12 ayatanas, i.e., form, sound, smell, ideas and eye base, ear base, nose base, mind base, sticking with the external and internal phenomena, and also in the middle. It's really not easy to deal with it. With the contact of eye and visual object, eye consciousness, seeing, arises. So it's also sticking with the eye consciousness, ear consciousness, hearing, nose consciousness, smelling, mind consciousness. So taṇhā is sticking at 18 places, 6 sense objects plus 6 sense bases plus 6 consciousness equals 18 elements. Even you can say sticking with the whole body. Therefore, we have the usage of I can't even let one of my head hairs to fall off. Again it's sticking with the 18 feelings, 6 sense doors x 3 types of feeling, i.e., pleasant, unpleasant and neutral. The 18 elements, dhātu, are connecting with the 3 types of feeling. So if you can contemplate the three types of feeling, it's enough to kill Taṇhā. If feeling can be contemplated, then craving is not arising. So the Buddha gave the contemplation of feeling, Vedanā. Whatever name you are calling to the living beings such as human, God, Brahma, etc., in reality dukkha starts and dukkha ends, birth and death. Only these things are continuously happening. It exists only as dukkha connecting to dukkha without any goodness in it. After his enlightenment, the Buddha observed the world with the eye of truth and said that I would never praise to any life of existence as good. Even became a non-returner, Anagaman, was only one more life to go on, but still not good yet. It was like the 4 piles of excrement and still 1 pile left behind. It was good only with all were gone. Dhamma Talks by Mogok Sayadaw, the 4th of December. 1959. The Four Taints. Craving, Taṇhā, is the cause of dukkha and has companions with it. These are the 4 taints, asava. They are leading one dukkha to another dukkha. The taints are 1. The taint of sensual pleasure, kammasava. 2. The taint of becoming, bhavasava. 3. The taint of wrong view, ditthasava. 4. The taint of ignorance, avijjasava. If these 4 taints are not extinct, then dukkha is also without extinction. They will connect dukkhas without any gap, anantara pakkayo. Between death and birth without any gap. This is the patthāna method in the Abhidhamma. Later some Buddhists created a state, the intermediate state, i.e., antara bhava. By Suttanta method these are connecting by the taints, death and birth, etc. With suffering like a circle, without any goodness. Send living beings to this life and that life is the flood of sensuality, kamoga. Enjoyment in any life is the flood of existence, bhavoga. Here these 2 floods, i.e., kamoga and bhavoga, which mentioned in the commentary and explained by Sayadaw, are not the same. Maybe Sayadaw used it in a more practical purpose. In any life, attachment to family members and wealth as my son, my daughter and my belongings is the flood of view, ditthha. In any life, don't know the truth is the flood of ignorance, avijja. All living beings are suffering from the 4 floods. Therefore, the extinction of the taints is only in Nibbāna. Now you have the ears of able to understand the teachings and a teacher who can teach. So you only need for practice. If you don't, it's a great loss and miss the chance. These opportunities will not easy to come by in the next life and also not easy to get. If you do not practice and give a lot of reasons for it, then you are under the influence and control by the taints. Alavaka, the ogre, Yakha, asked the Buddha how to cross over the 4 floods. With faith, saddha, and believe that 4 noble truths are really exist and can be realized with the practice. Practice with unnegligent mindfulness, effort and wisdom, appamada sati, viriya, panna. The Buddha said that impermanent dukkha was in the body. With confidence and looking into the body, you will find it. If you see it, and the floods will be ceased. With mindfulness and observing impermanence continuously, dukkha will end. I will show you how to cut off the taints. Sayadaw told the Ven. Sona's story for the practice. With over-effort, viriya, concentration, samadhi, become weak and don't want to continue, so laziness come in. Become lazy, kosajja, with the practice. Adjust viriya and samadhi and send it towards impermanence. You are sure to see impermanence. They are only helpers for wisdom. Seeing impermanence is the function of wisdom, panna. Another pair for tuning, adjustment, is faith, saddha, and wisdom. Over-intelligent and doing things with one's own idea is not right. Have faith in the Buddha and the Dhamma. Let it be led by wisdom. Over-faith becomes blind faith and can go wrong. As an example, people made mistake with blind faith on Bahya, Dha 101, Dhammapada Atthakatha, Bahya Darusriya Teravathu, and things were happened what should not be. The Buddha gave the guarantee that after making adjustment with the four factors, saddha and wisdom, viriya and samadhi, and practiced would realize the Dhamma. Mindfulness is never excessive. This was one of the evidences that it is impossible without a teacher in meditation. Sona's story. So faith, energy, mindfulness, serenity, samadhi, and wisdom are the five spiritual faculties, indriya. If you can turn them in the practice, you will overcome the four floods. This was the sure guarantee given by the Buddha.